What's like something that, like a student has done to you before, like when you first started?
Man, I mean the
Like which story?
the list is
how much
endless.
time you got, buddy?
The list is fucking endless, man. I mean, there are things that
The Jackie Chan one.
that one was the first like act of defiance or someone who pushed back, where I was like, okay, this is pretty funny, like, but this is what I should expect, until I can get better.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm very performance based, where it's like, I want to keep getting better. I got to outdo my last performance. But it was in class, and this kid was just cutting up, and she had so many opportunities, and I'm sure the class was chaotic, but she was just the most chaotic. And so I don't know if I did this intentionally or not, but I was like, all right, you're fucking out because you seem like the leader. So I got to make an example, and then everyone else is going to fall in line. And I don't know if that's what I really thought in that split second, but looking back on it, I think that's what I did. And I said, all right, that's it. Like, student, you had chances. We did this. You need to go. You need to get out of class.
Yeah.
And just like, I ain't moving. Like, I ain't going nowhere. Like, I don't give a shit. So I was like, I don't think you heard me, right? So me thinking like I'm a thug, turned around. I was like, I don't think you heard me. Like, you need to get the F or whatever I said, like, out of class. And she said, all right, da, 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 da. And I started walking away thinking like, okay, I gotta like save face, or I gotta like send an email to the principal because I might be asked out for my behavior. But she said something, it's like, Jackie Chan. I was like, I turned around and was like, did you say something? What did you say? I said, Jackie Chan, motherfucker. And for the rest of like that class, I was just known as Mr. Jackie Chan. And there's nothing I could do that I can escape from. And it consistently reminded me of that incident where I failed to act properly to de-escalate. Yeah. To figure out like, why was she distracted, all that thing. And maybe she needed a break. Maybe she should have, gone down to the principal's office. But when she came back, the opportunity to rebuild that
was gone.
It was gone. It was gone because of the way I acted, and some people will say like, no, but you're taking too much ownership. She can't victimize her. She shouldn't be doing that. You're absolutely right. But if I start thinking along those lines, what am I going to actually change?
I mean, and there's standards, right? You as an adult and as an educator, you have to show restraint, right? You can't get baited into like an emotional response, especially when you're kind of aware of what the situation is going to be.
Yeah, but the funny thing is too, is like, we're humans, we're educators.
Of course, not robots.
Make mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I never restored that with her, and she was cool. So at the end, at the end of the year, we didn't get along, but we like saw eye to eye, and we tolerated each other. But after my training, I realized, and this happened after I started receiving some of those trainings that I alluded to, was I did something similar to another student, a female student, in fact. And then like after that, I realized like female pushback is a trigger for me, especially when they like, get real like loud, or they just like, because I felt, some of my things were being threatened. But then with her, I didn't cuss at her or anything, but I raised my voice. I got really close to her, and then I intimidated her. Like, is there something you want to add? Nah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that's right. And like I walked away or something like that. But like everyone sees that. Like the class was quiet. I had enough like cultural and social capital where, they were able to respond. No one like treated me differently. But, I felt like shit afterwards. And so I went to her privately the next day. I pulled her out of like a different class. I was like, hey, that was totally disrespectful. Like, I can't believe I did that. And whether you forgive me or not, I'm just going to like commit to never doing that to you ever again in person. And nobody should ever do that to you.
Yeah.
And I said, with your permission, can I apologize to you in front of the whole class? And she was like, that's a little weird. It's like, you're just going to put me on blast. So no, but I got you, Mr. Kwan, like, we're cool. And then, but later on, she came back and said, I talked to my parents and said, like, is that the first time an adult apologized to you? I was like, yeah, it was. Like, well, have them do it in person and see if he really means it. Yeah. She didn't tell me that in person, but she came back and said, you know what? I actually would like it in person. So I did. And I told everyone, and we had like honest conversations. And people were like, yo, like, Mr. Kwan, are you serious? Like, no one ever apologized to her. We're just kids. Yeah. But that kind of like, then that became my favorite class. Yeah. For the rest of the year, they're doing things like that, like really humanizes mistakes.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And
it's holding yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying
that must have been so fucking hard because I wanted to be a teacher. I'd be roasting these kids. Dude. All I've been doing. I was like, damn, this motherfucker hurt my feelings every day.
Yeah. Like 50% of the time, that's what I was doing. That's how I build rapport with some, and they would roast me back. And I'm like, damn, that was funny. Let me write that down. I got to tell it to my friends. That kind of thing. And there's different ways to build relationships. But Yeah, when you ask like what are some things that you have seen, there are things that have been disruptive, things that have just appalled me or things that have just broke my heart because I realized like the chances of you changing your trajectory because of like the gangs that you're involved in or because
low,
of your, it like there's only so much we can do. So there's something that's popular called the 100 reps theory. It's like you might get to like the 90th or 99th rep and you don't get to see them change or like really get to that 100th rep, but you're just hoping you planted enough seeds so that it can flourish with the next educator or the next advocate or the next person of support. But there was shit like I literally had like, well, part of me is kind of hesitating because I don't want to like perpetuate this stereotype of like inner city schools, but some of it's pretty fucking funny too. Like I had a male kid who I had a policy of I teach bell to bell. No one got to use the restroom when they were in my class.
Yeah.
And then it's illegal to do that. So I never put it down in policy, but I would work it around. So I was like, oh, you got to use